Aloha, everyone. It is Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025, and this is episode 578. I'm Jyunmi, and joining me is Andy. Hopefully, later on, we'll see Beth and Karl. We'll cover today's AI headlines, take a deeper look at AI in crop forecasting, and Karl's going to share with us a quick highlight of how he uses Claude Code. This is the Daily AI Show. All right. So let's open up. Andy, what is the news story you have for us today?
I have a pretty big one in my mind. Yesterday, we talked about Amazon and Amazon's robotics team planning to automate 75% of the company's entire operation, which would, just between now and 2027, 2 years from now, it would eliminate 160,000 US roles. Uh, so and one of the persons who commented on that was an MIT professor who's one of the godfathers of AI, uh, uh, at least in not AI, more about economics, the science of economics, and in commenting, therefore, very knowledgeably on the impact of AI on economics. And he's a colleague of Max Tegmark at MIT. Okay, so Darren Asimoglu, he was the one who said, look, if they do what they're talking about, there will be not one of the biggest employers in the United States. They'll be one of the net job destroyers, not a net job creator. And so today, there was released from Max Tegmark, his he's the co-founder, but really the initiative behind the creation of something called the Future of Life Institute. And so he also wrote the book Life 3.0 that paints a really sort of telling picture of what superintelligence would do in the world, in a fanciful imagination of what that is. And it's a totally worthwhile read if you want to understand what this new announcement I'm going to talk to you about today is. And that is that the Future of Life Institute released a statement. And I'm going to show you that statement on the screen here in a moment. It's very short, but that statement is part of a document that has right now about 1,070 signatories to it, and it's increasing every moment, right? So there's a lot of very high level people who are signing this document and attesting to it and advocating for it. Okay, and here's the issue. The issue is the Future of Life Institute is releasing this statement, which advocates a ban on superintelligence research. And superintelligence distinct from AI research, right? So the goal of AI should be about creating tools that serve humanity. And this does not mean autonomous, super intelligent agents that can operate beyond human control without alignment. So we can have a future of AI powered medical breakthroughs and scientific discovery and personalized education, but none of those require us to build an uncontrollable superintelligence that could unilaterally impact the fate of humanity. And I stress the word unilaterally there. So now let me share my screen and show you just something about the organization, Future of Life Institute. And also, I want to share with you the statement itself so you see what it looks like online. Okay, I think you need Jyunmi to put that actually on the screen. Good. Okay, so this is the sort of the landing page of the Future of Life Institute. Remember, founded by Max Tegmark, MIT professor, author of Life 3.0, major thought leader in the world of AI. And this organization has now organized and delivered this statement on superintelligence. And I'll just read this for those people who don't see the screen that well. It says statement on superintelligence. You see, it's now surpassed 1,081 signatures, and this will probably go up while we're looking at it. Innovative AI tools may bring unprecedented health and prosperity. However, alongside tools, many leading AI companies have the stated goal of building superintelligence in the coming decade that can significantly outperform all humans on essentially all cognitive tasks. This has raised concerns ranging from human economic obsolescence and disempowerment, aside now, reference the Amazon elimination of jobs in their system by, robotic automation of almost everything that is done by that enormous organization in our retail network. This has raised concerns and including losses of freedom, civil liberties, dignity, and control to national security risks and even potential human extinction, which is an outlier, but it is possible if this was truly uncontrollable superintelligence. The succinct statement below aims to create common knowledge with a growing number of experts and public figures who oppose a rush to superintelligence. We've talked on this show about superintelligence, and I want to highlight again that this is related to the whole idea of a kind of AI system that can basically rewrite its own code and rapidly advance itself without much human supervision, and also has agency in the world, so it can actually operate out there. And so this statement says we call for a prohibition on the development of superintelligence not lifted before, one, there is broad scientific consensus that it will be done safely and controllably, and two, there's strong public buy-in. And here are the signatories to it. Jeffrey Hinton, also one of the godfathers, Stuart Russell from Berkeley, Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of Apple, Sir Richard Branson, Steve Bannon, I don't know, Glenn Beck, a couple of right-wingers, Susan Rice, Mike Mullen, U.S. Navy Admiral, retired. Here's a polling on the superintelligence. 73% of people polled want robust regulation on advanced AI. Here's some other comments from signatories. Yoshua Bengio, a notable name in AI. But the list goes on, and these are major players out there in politics, in government, in academia. Here's, Andrew Yao from, the professor and the dean at Tsinghua University and a Turing laureate. Many, many people here involved. Yuval Noah Harari, for example. Here's again Darren Acemoglu, a chair professor and dean for the Institute of AI Industry Research at Tsinghua University, and the former president of Baidu, one of the major companies out there advancing AI. So this is really, really important. There's some momentum behind this, and I wanted to share that with you because I saw this as a really telling moment in the differentiation between AI tools that can help us and the pursuit of an autonomous superintelligence mind that can actually outthink collective humanity and do it faster and without necessarily, overall consideration. And so I will be a signatory to this. I don't know if that makes any difference, whatever, but I'd really like to see every AI research lab that's working toward that superintelligence thing, including, by the way, there's a company called Superintelligence that was founded by one of the former OpenAI leaders. And, that's one that's obviously working on this mission and ought to be in alignment with humans and making sure that they meet these objectives, the broad scientific consensus that it will be done in a way that is safe and controlled, and that the public will, accept their assurances that superintelligence that they're developing is working for them.
So just to clarify, Andy, let's fix that. So just to clarify, this statement is to put a hold on research or just concentrate on safety measures?
It's a ban on development of, right? So if your mission as your company is to deliver superintelligence, they want to stop that until there's scientific consensus that your approach can actually, meet these objectives, which is that it's safe and controllable. So there has to be, and I believe there is. I believe that inside the superintelligence lab, superintelligence is also, one of the missions of the Meta lab, right? That they developed over there. But superintelligence, I believe the people who are working on that are also thinking very deeply about how do we contain this so that we don't create something that can actually be released from the boundaries that we set for it.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, as long as we can get Karl's recycling robots without superintelligence, I think we're good. But definitely something.
Wait. Why not? Why not? Why not have superintelligence in that recycling robot?
Well, this statement from the Future of Life Institute says, have it, but not until there's broad scientific agreement that it is safe and controllable.
It doesn't matter about safe control. I need this thing to take out my recycling. So it's safe. I don't care. Whatever it does, blows up the wall, destroys the other person's garage. Doesn't matter. I need you to just take it.
As long as the recycling is taken out.
Let's not put Karl in charge of superintelligence, okay?
If I have to give it like missile launchers to, I'm sorry, I was playing a lot of Borderlands.
Wow, that's actually might be the results of superintelligence. I'm totally joking, of course. So, Karl, what news item did you bring to us today?
Yeah, there's sorry, I missed the first part. Did you already talk about Google's new AI vibe coding platform?
No. Yeah, lead us through that.
Yeah, so lost in the news yesterday with the OpenAI's browser. I think Lovable had their Stripe integration. So I was playing around with the vibe coding application for in AI, Google's AI Studio. I just opened I tried to vibe code something that I was vibe coding in Lovable. So fed it a PRD quickly. I haven't even looked at it. The one thing that I think I'm noticing is missing, which I really enjoy in Lovable and in Cursor and in Claude Code, is the ability is plan mode. And maybe I don't know if there's a setting right now on that, but I like having it plan and then have a discussion and then execute rather than just execute. Because I think right now it's just execute. And I'd rather not have that quite yet. And yeah, that's as far as I got. And I thought,
right,
it's an interesting spot. So I definitely will want to use it more. I don't know what the token limit is, what the rate limits are. Like, I don't know what that is, but I just built something that I wanted to do. And it looks pretty good. What I was looking for.
Is it like the rest of AI Studio? It's kind of open right now. It's not running.
Yeah, I think here, let me quickly show what I'm looking at. Okay. Is there like a delay in the screen share? Or,
no, yeah, we got to manually bring it on.
Oh, is it? Okay. Yeah, so here's my PRD, and then just wanted to essentially do that, check that out. Seems decent. I haven't really tested out how it's built and
do you know what the database is? So here you're demonstrating a knowledge base.
Oh, it's Firebase. I think it's Firebase. It's connected to Firebase. It's Google's own. It's just a mess.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And it automatically set up the Firebase schema and everything for you?
I think so. I never watched their video or Logan's live stream on X, so I don't know. I'm sure it wouldn't make any sense with Lovable's like automatic integration database connection, that this wouldn't have this. It just would make sense. And I think based on the what I was trying to build here is, when you record, it should go to a data. I'm not sure. There's a knowledge vault, and I haven't even tried this, but I just ran it this early this morning to see what they would do.
Very cool. And what's the URL for this?
Oh, it's just Google AI Studio, and then you'll see
it. It's in AI Studio. It's the build,
it's directly in AI Studio.
It's the build. You go in there, and there's a build tab down there, and if you click on that, that opens this.
Yeah. So if I go here, and then there's the build tab, and it's a little bit different now because you have a little bit more. They give you options, like, so it isn't just a blank slate. So it's like, oh, I want this, I want this, I want all these different elements that you could potentially.
And do they call the feature a particular name or title, or is it just build?
I guess it's build.
Okay, just checking. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. But it gives you, I like it because, like, for example, I wouldn't think about Google Maps prompt. Just it's interesting the options it gives you, and then obviously if you're feeling lucky, they'll just think of something, and then adding these elements to it, right? So if you want, I want a conversation in there, I want to animate in there, and so on. So it gives you some ideas. But I still recommend for anyone who's vibe coding, hey, go for a walk with your favorite large language model and get yourself a PRD. So go through the process.
Okay, I want to share my screen now about vibe coding, because this came out here. Let me do that. Here we go. So this is an email from Gary Marcus, a noted skeptic in the world of AI, and this is a map of how much traffic vibe coding tools are attracting. And you see, his point is that vibe coding isn't all that, and it drew a huge amount of interest and activity, but people started to abandon it because they were, unlike you, Karl, they were not experienced coders. And it became increasingly difficult for them to actually accomplish something and keep forward progress on their delivery of something that could actually be published or put into production. So it's really good, he says, for simple demos and MVPs, but it's not ready for prime time. And that's why you notice here all the way back to July, it started just declining really dramatically. And although, it's still way above the level that you see here in a year ago, like in this area back here, it's climbed dramatically from there. And now, by the way, Google coming on, let me stop my share here. That's a very interesting email from Gary Marcus, by the way, that basically says, yes, use vibe coding, but don't have expectations that this is going to replace engineers. You absolutely need engineers to do anything that's going to be production ready.
The message that we tell people when our clients and whatnot is, you can build your MVP and prototype, which automatically should get you around 60-70% of where you want to go. You still need a developer, but imagine that 60 to 70% to begin with, because your developer is probably going to ask you, hey, I want you to build in so many words a PRD. And by asking you a bunch of questions, so you're going to go back and forth. You're going to have here's a bunch of prototype or screenshots, designs, UX, not even any fully functionally built anything. So that's going to take week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 week, back and forth. Here, you've got yourself a concept that you can then pass on to your devs. Like, this is kind of in the direction. Here's some of the code too. And then, it's much faster. To think that I think there's that back to the hype and the the expectations, and the hype feeding the expectations, but then the expectations meeting reality, where you can build any. right? Oh, you
Right.
can't build anything because I don't know why it's not working or why it's security, so I'm gonna stop it. It's like that even the act of developing a PRD, knowing an MVP, knowing what features you want, like just the act of that alone will cull swaths of people who have no clue how this works and where it's going to go.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like vibe coding has passed the early adopter phase, right? So there's a lot of real quick adoption. People loved getting into it, like what you showed with the chart, Andy. And now we're getting a little bit of fall off. So it'll probably even out a little bit on that side. But to your point, Carl, there's a lot of time you can save from just doing all that early development, right?
Yeah.
This is the PRD. This is, just even just breaking down your if you want to do front end kind of things, having your Figma file and having your your frames and whatnot. But from a just business bottom line standpoint, that's numbers of hours of development time, right? Or developer time that you're saving as well, because you're presenting. The more you do on the front end will make it a lot easier and faster to complete on the back end. And that's
And I'm
kind of
also
pretty
going
much
to
any
add that
project.
it is possible, and I have done a very complicated app that is, web facing, and you can try it yourself. No, nobody is. I haven't promoted it in any way, but I was able in Lovable, after many months of work, to deliver a pretty complete application that's sustainable, in the respect that it's not just a simple web page. It's a full system that includes an admin management system and includes a front end interface with users, and has accounts for users and tracking and evaluation of users progress. All of that takes a lot of work. I think that work's getting easier and easier. And I believe that if you have at least a rudimentary understanding of what product development and in the hands of engineers looks like, you can do that too. And it's going to get easier. And I'm excited to check out the Google version of this and actually give it the PRD that, is extracted from the now existing application that I built, and give it to Google and see what it builds.
Right. Maybe Andy, V2 of your app can be done in Google, not taking months,
Yeah.
but maybe in weeks.
Yeah,
That would
that's
be
right.
pretty cool.
That's right. And I actually have another app that I'm at the PRD stage on, because I'm now interested in producing something else, and it's really fun. So I'm not going to poop on vibe coding. I really like it. I think you should try it. But the expectation that there's going to be millions of unwashed, non-engineering, non-technical people out there building their own applications is a little far-fetched.
Yeah, I like the lowering the barrier aspects of vibe coding, and I think for most people, making those small personal apps is where they're living at, and that's what we're seeing on the decline now. Is people trying to do the more complicated apps like you did, and you said it took you months, so that's probably too long for most non-technical or non-programmer type people. Okay. Well, before we move on to this next story, Andy, the app that you're talking about, is it still available to our
Yeah,
community?
I'll have to go check. I haven't looked at
Okay.
it recently, but that same URL is out there. It's published by Lovable, and you can actually use that. It's a self-guided, AI supported tutorial course in how to converse with AI, like all the technical things back in the day when prompt engineering was really important. It's getting less and less important now that more sophisticated reasoning AIs can just conversationally assist you. But back then, that seemed like something that was useful to our audience, and so I built that. It is available out there. It's called Sensei. But anyway, I
Okay.
should go.
So yeah, check out
Well,
lovable.dev or or better, join our community to gain instant direct access to Andy's Sensei. Okay. All right. I feel the need that we need to cover this story. And it'll be an interesting how this plays out. But let's talk a little bit about ChatGPT Atlas. So that came out, announced yesterday. Lots of buzz around it, but essentially, it is OpenAI's hat in the ring for AI-enabled browser. Okay, so OpenAI has released ChatGPT Atlas, a web browser with ChatGPT built in, starting on macOS, with Windows, iOS, and Android coming soon. The Atlas adds an agent mode defined as an AI that can perform multi-step actions in software and not just answer questions. The browser ships with a split view, page on one side and chat panel on the other. Privacy controls let users pause memory and limit data sharing, so that's nice to know. Compared with their peers, Google Chrome is adding Gemini features, and Microsoft Edge integrates Copilot. But Atlas makes the chatbot the primary UI. Perplexity's Comet and Arc browsers, Browse for Me, offer similar helpers, but Atlas tries to differentiate with native ChatGPT access, a broader user base, and of course, enterprise-focused controls. Plus and Pro users get agent mode first, and this move extends ChatGPT from chat into browsing and tasks. Key tests ahead are reliability of agent actions on complex sites, site compatibility, and whether users shift search and shopping behaviors to an AI-first flow. If adoption sticks, publishers and advertisers may see traffic and attributions change. So there might actually be something to the GEO or AEO optimization. Okay.
So to be clear, what you need to do to use this tool is you need to download a new browser for your desktop.
Yeah.
Then once you have that browser, you have to, if you want that to be the primary one, you have to set that as your default browser, or you just launch it, have it in your list of applications there and launch it. But this is very interesting. It basically combines agentic AI with the ability to work on the web on your computer.
Right. So all of the lessons they learned from the desktop version of ChatGPT, and all that we've been seeing from the agentic features, agent mode, and things like that, operator kind of features, is all being bundled into this new interface. Now, will we be using browsers in this same sense in the future? Probably not, but this seems to be, everybody seems to be on the same page as we need to transition users' behavior to whatever the new thing's going to be, and having this intermediary step of browser access or browser version is probably going to help move people to what the expected new interface being, whatever that turns out to be. Jude, question is what the hardware requirements is. Right now, it just says it'll run on Mac OS. I don't think there's any particular hardware requirements other than if you're running Chrome right now with that access, then you should be able to access all of this via web.
That's an interesting question. I'm not sure that's correct, because I want to use Perplexity Comet, but the Mac that I have is kind of stuck back in Mac OS 13, and you have to have a later version of Mac OS in order to run Comet. And so I think there might be you have to have probably a later version of Mac OS in order to use the ChatGPT one as well.
Yeah, I agree with that because I mean that seems to be the norm for just software development. They don't want to try and make it backward compatible all the way back to
Right. Yeah,
to
remember when the whole idea of Chromebooks came out? Like, hey, you're not going to need a desktop anymore. You're just going to have a thing that connects you to the internet because most everything you do is through the browser now. And that's
Right.
true on my desktop. I mean, I do have maybe a Excel running in the background, but most everything I do is on the browser.
Oh,
yeah, suddenly I had dogs.
Yeah,
I shut that off.
Totally
Anyway,
gotcha.
so I'm kind of an old school guy, and so I've ended up not advancing from this beautiful 2017 iMac with 5K display, but it's not supported beyond Mac OS 13.x. So
funny enough, I did see someone do a hardware breakdown of that particular Mac to keep the 5K monitor, and it's a fairly simple transition because I know they remove the built-in way to use it as a monitor, but if you're willing to take the screen out and add a couple of components, you could just have a standalone 5K monitor.
Okay, thank you. Well, send me the link to that, please, because I will do that. Because I have no attachment to the inner workings of this one, but the beautiful 5K 27-inch. It's hard to find now.
It's a great screen. It is a great screen.
Can't you just get like a Mac Mini? Because they
eliminated the ability to use this as a separate monitor. I don't know why.
It's directly a smack in the face because you used to be able to. And they removed the capability to do so, or at least turned it off.
Can't you go to like a third party and get it?
Well, that's what I was talking about. You can do that now. That wasn't a thing that you could do for years, but now people have developed enough of single board computing and enough drivers to actually run the monitor as a monitor, and then you can run it in to any
along
device,
with the Mac Mini,
any computer at that point. Yeah.
Okay.
If anybody else doesn't have another story, I do have a quick follow-up.
I do have one quick one. Let me just throw this out.
Go for it. Yeah.
About one of our favorite companies, Anthropic, the developers of Claude. They are now in early stage talks with Google about a deal that Google would provide tensor processors, right? And billions of dollars worth of inference compute to Anthropic. This is a challenge to the primacy of NVIDIA architecture out there. So now one of the major players, Anthropic, is going to Google and working on developing data center operations in the cloud supplied by Google and using tensor processors.
Yeah, that's after OpenAI opened up that window. I imagine that every major who doesn't have their own AI chip development is gonna go through this process, just so that all of your eggs are not in a single basket, right? If for some reason NVIDIA decides to pull something or whatnot, having a little diversity there in your in your chip access. We do still need Intel to get on the ball and get their fabs up and running so we can have some more chip factory side of things, to give us a little diversity there and not just TSMC and Samsung. But we'll see how that plays out in the next couple of years. But speaking of Anthropic, so my story is on just really quick. Claude Code is on the web, which may not seem like a big deal, and in the grand scheme, it probably isn't. But it does make things a little more accessible. And I'm always a fan of lowering the barriers. So if you weren't comfortable with the terminal interface, the CLI, then having and web is your your development and information driver, then you can now use Claude Code through the web. Other than that, there are not really that many differences, but it's still in early stages, so you may not see a one-to-one example of it. The other quick story I have is, speaking of chip makers, is Samsung. So Samsung is also getting in the AI market, but what's important about this story to me is it's not Samsung that's the important part. It's that Perplexity is now on their going to be on their hardware, just like with they were also adding Microsoft Copilot, and I think they're also looking at working. This was a move because Google is putting their Gemini on TCL products, which have been very popular over the last couple of years because they manufacture large consumer equipment, electronics equipment at a more bargain price. So I think what we'll gather from this is we're sort of seeing the Netflix move. So if you recall, a Netflix history is one of the reasons they got so ubiquitous or pervasive in everybody's use is they threw it on every home electronic device that they could, right? Every single TV and TV manufacturer, and even back in the day when everybody had their own DVD player, it's on all of the gaming consoles, all of that kind of stuff. And that saturation into that market allowed for the content they were providing to be adopted a lot easier. I'm seeing this is the kind of same move that we'll see from AI-enabled home consumer equipment. And so that every device and every point in your life will have an AI component that you could probably just speak into your new microphone-enabled remotes to search the internet and perhaps even create content for you in the future. Okay. If there's any other news stories, we'll cover those. Otherwise, we will go ahead and move on to our next segment. Andy?
May I suggest that because we have just 20 minutes left, that we take advantage of Karl's availability today to do his demo that he's planned?
Sure. Yeah, we can
after.
Totally. Yeah. Let's go to the tool highlight first. We'll just rearrange that a little bit. So, Karl, what do you have to share with us today?
Okay, what I wanted to do was showcase like an actual business use case I was using for Claude Code, and specifically on using a swarm of subagents. Cool. So I want to showcase my screen to this one. Okay. So show on screen. Okay. So let me set this up for a second. Yes. So I'm gonna move this here to here. Okay. What we have here is, so the client essentially is asking, hey, they have a sort of a DAM system for documents. And what this DAM system,
digital asset manager, is what that DAM means. Yeah.
It's called, I'm not gonna say what they have, but essentially when they add a document in there, it gives like a preview of the document. So it has like the email, the person, the name, whatever the list is. And so the people can see what is generally what the document is about. However, it can't see everything, right? Because there's handwriting, there's all sorts of different types of documents that they want to put in here, but they can't get it. So the question they have is like, hey, this company wants to charge us a big amount for their AI component that will review this. Is there anything you can do to do this? And I was like, let's work on a potential pilot to see where we go. And so what we did here is the process is we take a document. There's 4 things that we're looking at. We're looking at property code, address, document type, and document type and date. Those are the 4. So this is an example. The client's currently reviewing this, right? So what's happening, there's the process is, what we need to do is extract those 4 elements, and then the workaround for the AI component that we thought of is, hey, why don't we put all these documents that have been renamed into a folder because they do this anyway, and their DAM system looks at the folder and automatically takes it and appropriately places it in the segments they've already created based on the name, right? Hope that's pretty clear. So what we're doing is essentially we need to review the document for those 4 components, rename it, and then move it from one folder to the next. That's the whole process. So the thought was, hey, initial was like, hey, let's have Claude Code, because it needs to hook into their local network, review the document, extract those 4 things, and then rename it and then move it. Okay. But then I thought, wait a second, if I have a whole bunch of subagents, why don't we just make a whole bunch of subagents to do every single one of those tasks concurrently, right? So instead of doing it one at a time, which has an increased chance of messing up, why don't we create a subagent to just look at a property code, just another subagent just to look for the description, another subagent just to look for the date, another subagent just to look for the type. And then they gave me a cheat sheet, so that subagent will look at the cheat sheet and apply it. Then we have another subagent that does the renaming of the file. And then because we talked to the client's like, oh, if they have a score of less than, say, 70% or 80% confidence, can you put the name review, the text review, in front of the renaming, so for us to just quickly review it? Cool. Well, we do that too. So there is technically 6 agents here that is running. So you have a property code extractor, description extractor, confidence extractor, date extractor. You have a document type classifier to help. You have a renamer agent, and then you also have a confidence evaluator. So how it's supposed to work, and it works, is that all 4 agents, the 4 extractor agents, are working on one document at a time. And once those 4 are complete, then it moves on to the confidence evaluator, which then moves on to the file renamer, and then moves into the folder that we're looking at. So that was the initial set, and that's how it's supposed to work. But then I thought, hold on a second, can I do this in batches? So can I essentially clone the whole process and have it work again concurrently instead of one document at a time, which it did? Can I do it all at the same time? So essentially have a swarm of these things in every single document. So we ran that, and that worked. So like, oh, that's fantastic. So that's essentially how this thing worked. So is there any questions before I get to the second part, which I added a Claude skill in there?
Yes. Which of the agents actually finalizes and moves it to the folder?
There's an instruction in the prompt that just moves it. I didn't need an agent to move it because I'm only moving from one folder to the next. It's not really hard to. Yeah.
So there's kind of in the prompt, there's a sort of master manager or orchestrator of the agents.
So initially when I asked Claude Code to build this out, it had a master orchestrator, which I'm going to put back in. But while we're testing this with the client, I don't want to add that. I want to be the orchestrator just for now until I have it because I just want to make sure there's a couple like little nuances that I'm still working out. It's sort of like, oh, in the property extraction, if there's this type of code and this type of code, what, looking at edge cases, that's what we're looking at. So that's where we are right now. Okay.
Okay.
So the second part of this is because I'm using, I think it's called SciPanda with, it's the base OCR for Claude Code and what it uses. Now we noticed it's like, it's okay, but it's not that good. So what I did was I went to Llama Parse or Llama Index and essentially put Llama Index or Llama Parse as the skill that every single one of these extractors, if there's two conditions, if it can't read or fails the initial OCR, or it has a confidence below like 60%, I wanted to use Llama Parse instead. So that way I don't want to use Llama Parse for every single thing. I just wanted to use where it's difficult, especially for handwriting. So what's built into every single one of these agents. So here is the use of Llama Parse on high complexity documents. So we built that skill set in. So it only access the skill. So we don't have the skill built into every single one of these extractors. We just have a general skill that the extractor will just pull from, essentially. So it's not four different Llama Parse skills. It's just one skill that all these subagents can refer to. Does that, everything good?
So I just want to understand better how you denominate a Claude skill in this context. So is it the file Llama Parse that you're referring to here that is, quote, as a skill of Claude Code?
Yeah, this is the skill MD here. Okay. It's actually, because I put the skill into desktop Claude, it automatically pulls it from there. So there's a connection.
Okay. Yeah. So this is very interesting. So you built the skill to use Llama Parse to extract information like OCR.
Yeah.
And you put that onto your Claude desktop, but here in Claude Code, you said use this skill when you need to, and when you'll need to do that when the confidence level is below X.
Or it can't, or it fails, essentially.
Or it fails. Yeah. Well, that's pretty low confidence. Yeah.
Yeah. So because I want to decrease the token cost, because I noticed that they would read most, but sometimes it can't. So what I noticed, I can decrease the number of reviews if it has Llama Parse in there, because it's just a better OCR. What I was actually looking at, if you're reading some of this, I was taking a look at DeepSeek's new OCR model. But one of the things it says, like, cannot read, it does a terrible job with handwriting. So I'm like, nope, that there's a lot of handwriting in the file. I'm like, not gonna be doing that. So yeah, it's kind of built in. But I think
what's cool is that the very last line of your conversation over there was, would you like me to test DeepSeek OCR on some of your actual PDFs to see how it performs?
Yes, that's where I was going to go. I didn't go do anything yet. So yeah, so that's kind of it. And I kind of wanted to show everyone here. So this is the destination folder. This is the exact destination folder that the other company has, but it got confused because it has an S drive, and it kept asking, hey, how do you mount this? And I was like, no. This is the name of the folder in this situation. I just wanted to double check. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I put 10 of these, and they get about 100 a week, I think. So obviously there's somebody who actually has to do this one at a time. And they would have to pay even more to their DAM to get the ID, their AI. So I was like, we can do this. Now, a couple things here. One, the scale of this is kind of iffy, because what I did is I just pushed this whole little system I built to GitHub. And so I can, when I put it on their computer, I can put it in. but this isn't a program that they can just log into. It literally resides on my computer. So that's the thing, is like, that is the downside of this is, are you okay with living on X person's computer, right? This was the kind of the workaround around this. So,
But you could actually have someone in there, sort of authorized IT function, have a computer sitting there running this application for $1,000. You could have a desktop sitting there to run it.
yeah, and then that they could definitely do that. And then it would be super easy to connect to the folders. The other thing too is if there's any changes, essentially I would push it to Git, and then I'd have to come back and push it to their system too. So this is the downsides of the workaround, right? Like, do you want to pay that much, or do you want to go this unique little fun activity?
But my guess is that your system, while it would require some periodic intervention on your part in order to update or troubleshoot, it would be a fraction of the cost of the subscription to
100%.
the GAM supplied,
Yes.
AI functionality.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The amount they're charging versus what we'll do is kind of for sure. Yeah.
And is there anything stopping them from doing this on a cloud instance? If a matter of access was the issue, because couldn't you just do this on a VPS, set it up?
You could totally do that. And I think the first step for me is just to make sure it works.
Of course.
I was like, does it work with your documents? Okay. So the next thing is, how do we apply this to your system and make sure? Because from a security standpoint, they're outside of Llama parse. There's nothing really here that touches on anything else.
Okay.
Right. It doesn't go anywhere. It's just reading essentially like your documents based on the skills that has been done. Right. There's nothing, not really going online or doing, and there's no MCP here too. So that would be the, yeah. So anyway, let's run it. So I have already pre-built something. Oh, by the way, how I built this was in this case, I just talked through Claude Code, and I said, hey, this is what I need to do. I need to do this. Like, here's the activity. Here's the full context. So it started with one agent. This was all through planning mode too. There's no execution. I said, hey, would it be easier to do a swarm of agents to do this? It's like, yes, it's a much better deal because of this. I'm like, okay, cool, let's build it. So it built every single agent one at a time. We tested it, worked, tweaked it, worked, more tweaks. So we're doing the next set of tweaks now. And then, so yeah, let's go.
So explain what you've done. You've just pasted into the dialogue with the Claude Code agent. You've pasted in a request, and it's now outputting something. And just describe it so that people listening can understand what's going on.
So essentially here, what we're doing is taking the documents in this folder, analyzing them with each agent, and then renaming them and moving them into this folder. This is the folder for this use case. So what's neat is, as you can see, how many PDFs should I process per batch? 5 per batch. You know what? Let's do all 10 all at once. And when you're using Claude Code, I highly recommend you stay in plan mode. There are some times I would go into just accept the edits and away you go, but it's worth. And so here's the plan. So what I could do, like I said, yes, and auto accept the edits. yes and manually approve the edits. I'm just going to go yes in this case because this is just for this.
Yeah, and by the way, what he's saying yes to is it's planned to launch 40 agents simultaneously. So there's 40 running at the same time.
So
how is the load when you're running these kinds of things? Does it max out your hardware, or is it like
not for this case? I think this is a pretty simple case, but I would am assuming. Oh, by the way, so as we go through, you can see it's just launching every single extraction agent for each document, right? So there's a color code for each agent, and then now it's just launching all 40 of them all at the same time, which I thought was really neat because it's like, oh, now I'm hoping that people in the audience today and then those who listen are starting to get ideas of like, wait a second, there's this repetitive task or tasks. I don't have to just do this one at a time. In fact, I can do swarms and swarms of this in concurrent succession faster than anyone has. And let's just go. So I thought this was, yeah.
Andy, you're muted.
I was just saying it's just completed the 10 PDFs. So it's done the full extraction process for all of the 10 documents for 4 different data items for each one, a separate agent doing each, focused on each data item.
Yes. And you can see, and you'll see as you go, these things will change names and then be moved to the destination folders, right? So yeah, it's all working. So I'm not gonna touch. At the same time too, right? This is my finder in the folder that it's in, and then you'll see it too as it's working through. Do you know why I can't scroll down now? This. Oh, it's still going. Okay.
Yeah. And so how long does it normally take to run this entire process?
Depends on how many documents, right? So when I ran it with 5, it was pretty quick. I guess with 10, it's a little bit more. And
I mean, just to get a gauge of the expected.
In this case, we're talking probably about 5 minutes. When I was doing it one at a time, it would take about 5-7 minutes for however many documents, let's say 10, or no, sorry, 5. But then when I did a swarm, it went down to like 3. So I was like, oh, how much? That's great. So now when it does 10, so it's like, because it's all doing it simultaneously. Because I think the largest load is the extraction of document type, because it has to read the entire doc. So it depends on what the doc is.
So let me just catch everybody up on the process that's on the screen right now. It says, perfect, all 40 extraction agents have completed successfully. And now it's moved on to processing each PDF for evaluation and renaming. And it's going through that process now.
So you can see here the renaming agent of number 1. And then
one moved.
One moved, right? So now
you're looking on the left-hand side of the screen, you're looking at his file structure, like on this particular device. And so now it's actually making changes to files and moving them.
So as you can see, it's been renamed to this, and then there is no review, which means it has 95% confidence or 94 confidence. So that's fine. The confidence level right now is 80. But the client did say, hey, I want it to drop to about 70. If there's handwriting, that's okay. We'll take it as is. And then, so I'm like, okay. So we added, what's neat about this is whenever there's instructions from the client, instead of me having to manually go through this, I would just talk to Claude Code and I'd be like, hey, this is the feedback from the client. I want to edit this extractor agent. And then it would just be like, okay, validate what I just said. Yes, this is what it is. Easy, done. So that'd be 2, right? So, and as you can see, it's moving piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. I thought it would be doing it all at the same time, but I guess I'd have to be more specific in, because it extracted, but it's still doing the renaming agent one at a time, which I thought it would be doing all at the same time. But I just gotta update some of the prompting then. And then once I add the master agent over top of this again, that's when I think we'll really dial it in. So yeah.
So let me just say, wow, very impressive. This is a better platform, in my view, for a lot of corporate workflow automation tasks that can provide efficiency. This is quite different from, say, using a reasoning agent and deep research to do strategic evaluation of a company's product portfolio. That's a wholly different kind of thing. But if you're working in files and folders, Claude Code here is automating that process and designing a process with subagents to deliver on that in a repeatable fashion. I think this is a really great demo and really opens my mind to those possibilities.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that people can like, oh, this use case, and really hoping people can think about the swarm, because I think what the big unlock for me is like, yes, I could have had one agent go through all 4 different things that they're looking for, but it's faster getting 4 agents to do it at the same time and then batching it all, right? So it's like batch this whole thing, and then obviously the more you batch, the more strained it will be on your, like you were saying, Jyunmi, but like now I because of the confidence level, I can just set this. The person doesn't have to do this anymore. And they were really, this was a big thing for them, because it's like, this was taking somebody so much time to go in, review, and then also thinking about having to pay their DAM to enable this. And I thought,
Right.
well, probably you can do this. This is simple. And then just a quick review. So yeah.
So one other quick point. Remember when it said it's launching 40 agents simultaneously? There are 4 agents that were working, but they self-replicated so that so let's take agent 1, which is doing the sort of the date extraction, right?
Yeah.
So agent 1, but it self-replicated and made 10 of agent 1, so it could go and do that against all of the documents in parallel. So that's where the 40 agents came from. So there was only 4 really working, 4 types, I should say, that were working. But this Claude Code said, okay, well, I need to have, because I have 10 documents to look at, I need to reproduce that agent and send it to each one of those 10 documents in parallel. And that's what's making this very, very complex process work so expeditiously. I mean, what would have taken a human, 5-6 hours to do is my guess here. This is going to be completed in a 15-minute time frame.
Yeah. And I think I made a mistake with the file renamer agent, because it is still doing it one at a time. I think I just have to dial in my instruction a little bit more in terms of the batch to actually have it run at the same time, every single one. I think I can even get this faster. So, but you can see though, right? Like it takes hours and hours for them to do it, but now it takes like 10 minutes. I'm not even gonna look at it because I built in the confidence level. And then just in case, as you can see, there is a review, I still have to review a couple, puts the onus back onto the person, but now it's like being like it's doing it right one at a time, like you just going through. And
so as it wraps up, Karl, can you give us basically bookend this by giving us another basic flow of what this process is now?
What do you mean?
Just run us high level what's happening each step, just so that we can bookend the demo.
So essentially each step is one for each document, there are 4 evaluator agents extracting the date, the property code, the document type, and the address. So it's extracting all of those. And then that concurrently. Then what happens is it passes on its information to the confidence agent to determine the confidence of each of those tasks. Based on the confidence level, it then goes to the renamer agent to determine, hey, here's the naming, but if the confidence level is above, then maintain it as if the confidence level is below, then it will put a review in the name, and that's it. And then after that, it'll move everything to the destination folder.
Gotcha. And just to highlight again, what are the big wins for the client with this?
So instead of them paying they're paying their DAM system to use their AI tool, they have essentially built their own AI tool that does this, that does exactly what it does. And they don't have to switch tools too, because they thought, oh, maybe we have to switch to SharePoint and build it. I'm like, no, keep your tool. It's just the tool does it already, right? So it takes from a folder, but someone has to rename all these files based on the data extraction and then move it into that folder. And then the DAM system essentially reads that folder and then properly places everything. But now it doesn't have to.
So could you give us a just ballpark percentage of what they saved both on time and money to implement this instead of using their other potential solution?
Well, I think like just from the time savings, probably a week's worth of work, because that they said every time they have to do this every week, it's like a day or two. And then from the dollar amount, we're talking probably 30-40K per year in that ballpark from what I've heard. And then that's it.
Okay. I mean, that sounds worth it to me.
Yeah. So obviously,
honestly, it's just the beginning of the kinds of workflow automations that you'll deliver to your clients using Claude Code on premise.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can see even here, right? There's some errors that happen because a bunch of the docs actually like, hey, where'd they go? So I still have to dial in. Like, this is where like we still have to do a lot of back and forth. Like, it's working, but there's some edge cases and some things that I still need to work out. And then also we have to figure out, it's like, hey, maybe you can't do 20 at a time. Maybe you should only do 5 at a time. That would be the instructions. I think what's the difficult part of all of this is, let's say this is dialed in and we give it to the client. The worry though is there's a set of instructions, but at the same time, there's a little bit of, as you can see, it's like, you still have to work with Claude Code. It isn't just an automatic. And what we've noticed with some clients is when we were building these type of things, if it doesn't work exactly to the T, we'd get a call, be like, hey, you know what, this doesn't work. But then we'd see it, and then we saw the whole process, and all it would take is the interaction with the person and whatever it is. But people aren't used to that type of interaction. So here it would be for me, it's like, hey, what happened to 1, 2, 3, 4? And then, that interaction, it would fix it. But most people aren't comfortable doing that, right? Working through that. Like, that's a very
that would require the person who is having to do the tedium of, renaming these files and relocating them in response to a review. That person would just be subject to a short period of training where you would give them some skill in dialogue with the Claude Code, agent on their desktop. I think it's a totally workable solution.
Yep.
Yeah, and once you get it, once you have this all working and tested multiple times, then it's sort of it kind of unlocks for you because you're like, oh, I can do an agent and a swarm. Every single task can be done by an agent in parallel, both consecutively and concurrently. And I think that's an important piece because now you can combo all that. I want these two to do this at the same time and then pass on to this and then do this at the same time. And I think that's where the awesome part of the skills aspect of this too is, where if you add in Claude skills, just takes this to a whole new level.
Yeah, that was a great demo there, Andy. I think you were.
I was just saying thank you to Karl for preparing and delivering that demonstration. And this one is definitely worth reviewing. I'd like to go back.
Oh yeah,
over again.
Definitely. All right. Well, we're definitely far over time for today. So I too, I want to thank Karl. That was a great tool demo or use case demo. If anyone who's watching does try this or builds out their own process, please let us know how it worked for you. And if you're part of the community, that's a great place to disseminate that information. So with that, we're going to close up the episode. I want to thank everyone in chat and everyone watching on the replay. If you want to keep the discussion going, please join our Slack community at the dailyaishowcommunity.com. And if this was helpful, consider subscribing so you don't miss the next episode. We'll see you all next time. Aloha.